What's poppin', check? Yeah, what's going on, y'all? Look, man, we finna be reacting to how every legendary Yakuza died. I think the Yakuza is like the country gangs. You know what I'm saying? The gangs from China. You know what I mean? Them yeah, the men that work with them swords. You know what I'm saying? Come chop you up if you owe them some money. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's get straight to it, bro. I don't like doing all that talking.
Tadamasa
Yo,
Goto on
straight to it.
February
Hold
8th,
on.
2026.
Put some respect on bro name. Hey, I don't want no beef with you feel me? All respects. Rest in peace to all the YAKUZA members in this video, man. No disrespects, What the world?
Tadamasa
Right
Goto
into it.
on February 8th, 2026,
Tadamasa Goto.
83-year-old
Hold on, let me turn these subtitles off, bro.
Tadamasa Goto died in Japan of natural causes. Goto had been the founding head of the Goto Gumi, a Fujinomiya-based affiliate of the Yamaguchi Gumi, Japan's largest Yakuza organization. At the peak of his power in the late 1990s and early 2000s, he was considered the most powerful crime boss in Tokyo. Western journalists and U.S. intelligence officials referred to him as the John Gotti of Japan.
Oh, he had to be something serious. For sure. Look at how they depicting him in the stick, man. Yo, he looks swag, right? That's crazy.
Goto's most notorious act was not a murder or an extortion scheme.
Call that badass right there, you feel me?
It was a medical procedure. In 2001, suffering from terminal liver disease, he brokered a deal with the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation. In exchange for a special visa allowing him into the country, Goto agreed to provide intelligence on Yamaguchi Gumi front companies operating in the United States, including information related to North Korean financial networks. The FBI granted the visa. Goto flew to Los Angeles and received a liver transplant at the University of California, Los Angeles Medical Center. He was reportedly number 80 on a waiting list and received a new liver within 6 weeks of arrival, during a year in which 186 other patients in the Los Angeles region died waiting for one. After the transplant, Goto donated $100,000 to UCLA. The hospital hung a plaque in his name. The deal was not publicly reported until 2008, when the American journalist Jake Adelstein broke the story in the Washington Post after declining a $500,000 bribe to suppress it. The revelation led to Goto's expulsion from the Yamaguchi Gumi and the end of his active career. He announced his retirement from organized crime that same year. The U.S. Treasury Department later placed him on an official economic sanctions list. He lived out the last 17 years of his life as a retired but still wealthy figure in Fujinomiya. When he died in February 2026, the liver he received from a young American traffic accident victim had kept him alive for almost 25 years. Kazuo Taoka. On July 23, 1981, 68-year-old Kazuo Taoka died of a heart attack at a hospital in Amagasaki, Japan. Taoka had been the third kumicho of the Yamaguchi
Yo, I'm
Gumi.
not gonna lie. Anything they name with like the Chinese language, that shit sound cool as hell. Like, I can't lie. The Samakachi Center, but that bitch sounds so cold, bro.
From 1946 until his death, 35 years at
so
the top,
cold,
he
bro.
inherited a small dock worker gang of 25 men in Kobe and built it into the largest organized crime syndicate in the world, with over 10,000 members at its peak. Japanese newspapers called him the godfather of godfathers. Taoka survived one of the most public assassination attempts in Yakuza history. On July 11, 1978, he attended a limbo dance exhibition at the Bellamy nightclub in Kyoto. A 25-year-old gunman named Kiyoshi Narumi, a member of the rival Matsuda Gumi, spotted him entering, pulled out a .38 caliber pistol, and shot him in the back of the neck. Narumi's assignment had been to avenge a previous Yamaguchi Gumi hit on the Matsuda Gumi boss. Taoka was rushed to a hospital and survived the attack. Narumi fled into the woods outside Kobe. His body was found several weeks later on a mountainside. He had been murdered, Naya. Taoka returned to full control of the Yamaguchi Gumi within months. He lived another 3 years, ruling from his home while managing legitimate business holdings including a talent agency, construction companies, and cargo contracts that controlled an estimated 80% of all freight loading at the port of Kobe. By July 1981, he was 68 years old and under mounting pressure from Japanese law enforcement. His heart gave out in a hospital bed without warning. His funeral was attended by 1,300 Yakuza from 200 affiliated gangs, while 800 riot police stood guard outside. His death triggered a 4-year succession war that would kill 36 more men. Masahisa Takanaka. On January 26,
Day before my birthday.
1985, 51-year-old Masahisa Takanaka was shot to death in the
If y'all wanted to know, just in case y'all wanted to, you know what I'm saying, send a gift.
hallway of an apartment building in Suta, near Osaka, while waiting for an elevator. Takanaka had been the fourth Kumicho of the Yamaguchi-gumi for exactly 202 days. His assassination triggered the Yamaichi War, one of the bloodiest organized crime conflicts in Japanese history. Takanaka had been chosen as the successor to Kazuo Taoka by Taoka's widow Fumiko during a televised investiture ceremony in 1984. A rival senior lieutenant named Hiroshi Yamamoto had also wanted the position. When Takanaka was chosen instead, Yamamoto seceded from the Yamaguchi-gumi with 3,000 followers and formed a rival syndicate called the Ichiwakai. By early 1985, Yamamoto's defectors were losing ground and returning to the Yamaguchi-gumi in large numbers. In a last attempt to shift the balance of power, Yamamoto dispatched a hit team.
Bro, I heard, like, when they do something against the rules or, like, betray their peoples, bro, they gotta cut a finger off or a finger or two off to like, you know what I'm saying, cover themselves, bro. That shit crazy.
Had been visiting his mistress at an apartment complex in Suta.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by
gotta
thinking about it.
Y'all gotta like the video so I could go ahead and get YouTube Premium back on my shit, bro. I ain't trying to pay for that.
Building with two of his top lieutenants, underboss Katsumasa Nakayama and another senior Yamaguchi-gumi member, when four Ichiwakai gunmen intercepted them in the hallway outside the elevator. All three men were shot at close range. All three died. 1,000 Yakuza attended Takanaka's funeral the following week. Within days, the Yamaguchi-gumi declared a formal war on the Ichiwakai. Over the following 4 years, more than 200 gun battles were fought between the two syndicates across Japan.
Hey,
Japanese newspapers.
Hold on. Wait. Oh, they blinking like that? They having fire? I'm thinking just straight police got fire. I'm tripping. I don't know why I'm thinking that, bro. It's on and popping everywhere in the world. I don't know why I'm acting like
daily
it just
front page scorecards tracking the death toll on each side.
Yeah,
by
bro,
the time the war ended,
I gotta US be so crazy. I just can't imagine violence like that outside the country. I mean, I've seen it before, but like in China, you know what I'm saying?
In 1989, 36 gangsters had been killed, and hundreds more had been arrested or seriously wounded. Yoshio Kodama. On January 17, 1984, 72-year-old Yoshio Kodama died in his sleep of a stroke at his home in Tokyo. Kodama had been the most powerful behind-the-scenes political fixer in post-war Japan. He was a former Class A war criminal, a founding financier of the Liberal Democratic Party, a CIA asset, and the man most responsible for forging the modern alliance between the Yakuza and the Japanese conservative political establishment. Kodama's career nearly ended 8 years before his actual death, in one of the most bizarre assassination attempts of the 20th century. On March 23, 1976, a 29-year-old softcore pornographic film actor named Mitsuyasu Maeno rented a small Piper Cherokee aircraft from a flying club outside Tokyo. Maeno was a member of a right-wing nationalist youth group that considered Kodama a traitor for his involvement in the Lockheed bribery scandal, in which Kodama had reportedly accepted $7 million from the American defense contractor in exchange for influencing Japanese military aircraft purchases. Maeno flew the aircraft directly toward Kodama's home in Setagaya Ward. He dove the plane into the house in a deliberate kamikaze attack, while shouting "Tenno Heika Banzai," long live the emperor, into a microphone he had rigged inside the cockpit.
Yo, they be wildin'. They be wildin'. I'm not gonna lie. He went out kamikaze style for something he believed. Yo,
the aircraft struck the upper floor of the house and disintegrated. Maeno was killed instantly.
Oh my gosh.
Kodama, who had been resting on a lower floor, survived. The attack destroyed most of his residence, but left him physically unharmed. The Lockheed scandal continued and ultimately ended his career as a political power broker. Kodama was indicted on bribery, tax evasion, and foreign exchange charges, but never stood trial. His health collapsed during the prosecution, and he spent his final years in a weakened state. He died quietly of a stroke in 1984. The porn actor who tried to kill him by flying a plane into his house had predeceased him by 8 years. Susumu Ishii. On September 3, 1991, 67-year-old Susumu Ishii died of liver failure at a hospital in Tokyo. Ishii had been the second kaicho of the Inagawa Kai, Japan's third largest Yakuza syndicate. At the peak of Japan's 1980s bubble economy, Ishii was reportedly the single wealthiest gangster on the planet. In his final year, before his health collapsed, he grew out his hair and beard and began dressing in the simple robes of a Buddhist monk. Ishii had spent the 1970s in
I ain't
prison
gonna
for running
lie,
illegal
that type swag I'm gonna definitely have at one point in my life.
final year before his Japan's
What
third largest
that
YAKUZA
is.
syndicate. At the peak of Japan's
What'd he say?
1980s bubble economy, Ishii was reportedly the single wealthiest gangster on the planet. In his final year, before his health collapsed, he grew out his hair and beard and began dressing in.
You feel me? This that drip right here. You know what I'm saying? This that don't want to be bothered, can't be bothered, won't be bothered. Look, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's too critical. I ain't
Simple
gonna lie.
robes of a Buddhist monk. Ishii had spent the
Simple fact that it's
1970s
so
in
chill.
prison for running illegal gambling junkets that flew wealthy Japanese businessmen to Hawaii and South Korea and fleeced them using marked cards. He was released in 1984, the year the bubble economy began, and he immediately pivoted the Inagawa Kai into the financial sector. Within 5 years, he had established himself as Tokyo's single largest shareholder. He was personally loaned $200 million by Nomura Securities, used the money to buy 27 million shares of the Tokyo Corporation, and made nearly $2 billion in profit on that one position alone. His total assets were estimated at over $1.5 billion. He became known as the father of the economic Yakuza, the man who taught organized crime how to use banks. When the bubble burst in 1990, the Inagawa Kai's paper wealth collapsed with it. Ishii's health collapsed simultaneously. He retired as chairman in October 1990 and entered a hospital for extended treatment. During those final months, as his companies went bankrupt and the Sagawa Express financial scandal exposed his ties to mainstream Japanese business, he stopped shaving, stopped cutting his hair, and wore monk's robes around his hospital room. He died the following September. The two largest investment banks in Japan, Nomura Securities and Nikko Securities, both had their chairman resign publicly when their personal connections to Ishii became public. Masaru Takumi. On August 28, 1997, 61-year-old Masaru Takumi was shot to death at a hotel cafe in Kobe by 4 gunmen wearing dark suits and baseball caps. Takumi had been the Wakagashira, second in command of the Yamaguchi Gumi, and was widely expected to become the next Kumicho. He was one of the most financially sophisticated Yakuza bosses in Japanese history, known within the organization as a master of stock market manipulation and corporate extortion. Takumi was having a meeting at the coffee shop of the Oriental Hotel in Kobe. The 4 assassins walked in, approached his table, and opened fire. Takumi was hit multiple times and died at the scene. An innocent bystander, a dentist named Dr. Hatayama, seated at a nearby table, was also killed by stray gunfire. The gunmen were members of the Nakano Kai, a Yamaguchi Gumi affiliate led by a deputy underboss named Taro Nakano. The killing had not been authorized by Yamaguchi Gumi leadership. Nakano ordered the hit because Takumi had recently brokered a peace agreement with a rival gang that had previously attempted to kill Nakano himself. Nakano considered the peace deal a personal betrayal. The consequences were catastrophic for the Nakano Kai. The entire group was formally expelled from the Yamaguchi Gumi, cut off from protection, and subjected to years of retaliatory violence. By 2002, the Nakano Kai had collapsed from a peak membership of several thousand, down to roughly 170 men. The Yamaguchi Gumi's succession, meanwhile, was frozen for 8 years. No new Wakagashira was chosen until 2005. Tetsuya Shiro. On January 22, 2020, 72-year-old Tetsuya Shiro died of illness at a medical prison in Sakai City, Osaka, while serving a life sentence. Shiro had been a senior member of the Suishin Kai, a Nagasaki-based Yamaguchi Gumi affiliate. In 2007, he committed one of the most politically significant assassinations in modern Japanese history. He shot and killed the sitting mayor of Nagasaki. The mayor was Icho Ito, 61 years old, a prominent anti-nuclear activist who headed a coalition of Japanese cities advocating for nuclear disarmament. At 7:50 p.m. on April 17, 2007, during Ito's re-election campaign, Shiro approached him outside his campaign office near Nagasaki Station. Shiro was carrying an American-made revolver. He shot Ito twice in the back at close range. Ito was rushed to a hospital and died of his wounds. Shiro was wrestled to the ground and arrested on the spot by campaign workers and police. The motive was not political. According to the Japanese court that convicted him, Shiro had a personal grievance against the Nagasaki city government dating back to 2003, when his personal car had been damaged by a pothole at a public works construction site. He had sued the municipality for compensation and lost. A construction company he was affiliated with had subsequently been denied a city loan. Shiro was sentenced to death by hanging in May 2008.
Hold up,
The
so you
presiding
telling me
judge stated
he knocked him off because his car got fucked up by a pothole in the road? Yeah, see, these men gotta control their emotions,
that
man.
the assassination infringed on the people's
crazy.
right to vote and destabilized
wow.
democracy at its roots. In September 2009, the
Wow.
Fukuoka High Court overturned the death sentence and commuted it to life imprisonment. Shiro died in prison 11 years later of unspecified illness, still serving that sentence. Hisayuki Machi. On September 14, 2002, 79-year-old Hisayuki Machi died of heart failure in Tokyo. Machi had been the founder of the Tosei Kai, later renamed the Toa Kai, and was one of the most important Yakuza bosses operating in post-war Tokyo. He was ethnically Korean, born in Tokyo in 1923 to Korean immigrant parents, with the birth name Junggeun Young. In the Yakuza world, he was known as the Ginza Tiger. Machi founded the Tosei Kai in 1948 in the immediate post-war period and rapidly grew it to over 1,500 members by controlling the Ginza district of Tokyo, the city's most valuable commercial real estate. His men became known as the Ginza Police. Kazuo Taoka, the leader of the Yamaguchi Gumi, was forced to negotiate a formal alliance with Machi in order to expand into the Japanese capital. Machi was also a staunch anti-communist who worked closely with American occupation authorities and later with South Korean intelligence services. In August 1973, he played a direct role in one of the most notorious political kidnappings of the 20th century. South Korean intelligence agents
It be so much going on. It be so much going
the exiled
on,
opposition leader Kim Dae-jung, a future South Korean president and Nobel Peace Prize laureate, from a hotel room in Tokyo. The operation used safe houses and logistical support provided by Machi's organization. Machi
Gang, imagine what's going on right now.
retired from active leadership of the Toa Kai in the 1980s. He spent his final decades as a respected Tokyo businessman, operating legitimate real estate and entertainment enterprises. His death at 79 was reported in Japanese newspapers as the passing of a prominent businessman, with only minimal reference to his 50-year career as one of the most powerful organized crime figures in Japanese history. Banzuin Chobe. In 1657, 35-year-old Banzuin Chobe was ambushed and killed while bathing at the home of a rival gang leader in Edo, modern Tokyo. Chobe had been the head of the Machi Yaku. 35-year-old Banzuin Chobe, minimal reference, ambushed and killed while bathing at the home of a rival gang leader in Edo, modern Tokyo. Chobe had been the head of the Machi Yako, a loose federation of Edo period street toughs who acted as unofficial protectors of common townspeople against the abuses of the samurai class. He is considered by most historians to be the founding figure of the Yakuza tradition. Every Japanese organized crime group that has existed in the last...
That's crazy. Man, hit that like button, bro.
350 years, traces its rituals, its vocabulary, and its self-image back to him. Chobe had been born in 1622 as Tsukamoto Itaro, the son of a low-ranking samurai family in Kyushu. He moved to Edo around 1640 and established himself in the Asakusa district, where he founded an employment agency for unemployed ronin, masterless samurai, and organized a Machi Yako gang to defend local markets against a rival gang of rogue samurai called the Hatamoto Yako. The Hatamoto Yako were led by a samurai named Mizuno Juro Zaimon, who considered Chobe a personal enemy. The feud between the two men defined the Edo criminal underworld for 15 years. In 1657, Mizuno invited Chobe to his residence for a reconciliation banquet. Chobe's followers warned him it was a trap. He went anyway, reportedly declaring that a true warrior could not refuse an invitation.
Man, these Chick-fil-A meal price as years gain is crazy, bro. 16, 15, 65. That's crazy.
Without dishonor. At the banquet, one of Mizuno's men deliberately spilled sake on Chobe's kimono, then led him to the bathhouse to change. While Chobe was undressed and unarmed in the bath, 5 samurai attacked him. He killed or wounded all 5 with his bare hands. Mizuno himself then entered the bathhouse carrying a spear. It was undressed and refused an invitation.
Gang, ain't no way. Hold on.
Without dishonor. At the banquet, one of Mizuno's men deliberately spilled sake on Chobe's kimono, then led him to the bathhouse to change. While Chobe was undressed and unarmed in the bath, 5 samurai attacked him. He killed or wounded all 5 with his bare hands. Mizuno himself then entered the bathhouse carrying a spear. According to the traditional account preserved in Kabuki theater, Chobe stopped fighting and said, "I am glad that it is you who kills me." Mizuno speared him through the heart. Chobe died naked in the bath at the age of 38.
No.
Within 50 years of his death, his killing had been rewritten into a kabuki play. It has been continuously performed in Japan for 369 years. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones and feel free to...
That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. That man got caught in the bath, bro. Messed up all five. Then that's crazy, man. Hey, that man went out like a real deal samurai, man. But hey, y'all heard what the man say. Like, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to this guy here, man. Subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to the
Albert
script.
Anastas.
I didn't hope. Whoa, that's probably for next video, bro. How every infamous hitman died. Ooh, if y'all want to see that, let me know. Yeah, man. Hey, we out, squad. I see y'all, man, for sure.